New background. Some of you totally understood or got the point I was making with the flag I used in my previous episode or part number 3 of the neuro-linguistic programming series that I'm doing. I was hoping that point wasn't lost on a few of you. I also did a new logo on the entry, just trying to fool around, trying to find what I want. I think I like this one. I'm going to probably use it for a while, see how it does. But anyway, so this is part 4 of the my NLP, neuro-linguistic programming informative series about how you're being manipulated through the use of NLP by the media, government, other people, that kind of stuff. So today's topic is conspiracy theory, theorists, and theories, and how that term is being used by people in the media and government, etc. Basically, it's a pejorative or an insult meant to insult or dismiss a person and or their theory about an issue, incident, regardless or whatever, regardless of the veracity and probability of their theory. It's just a straight dismissal. It's meant to, it's a defense mechanism basically to disqualify criticism without going through the exercise of proving their theories wrong. It's intellectually lazy. Granted, there are some theories that are just, way out there, but just because people think differently than what the given narrative is, doesn't mean they're loony bin, conspiracy theorists, crazy tinfoil hat wearing people. So I'm going to start with the definition of conspiracy theory. This is from dictionary.com. I'm just going to read it so I don't get it wrong. But there's 3 different definitions. I'm going to read all 3. So A is a theory that rejects the standard explanation for an event and instead credits a covert group or organization with carrying out a secret plot. B, a belief that a particular unexplained event was caused by such a covert group. And C, the idea that many important political events or economic and social trends are the products of deceptive plots that are largely unknown to the general public. I don't know if you caught it or not, but even in dictionary.com, they're putting a label, a negative connotation to the word. Anyway, there's many debates, discussions, whatever, on how the term conspiracy theory or theorist became a pejorative. About where the term originated. Okay, but there's not much debate, and is widely accepted that it became used as an insult or a pejorative to be able to use to dismiss somebody's argument without critical thinking by the CIA after the JFK assassination, when the Warner Report came out and people totally went, no, this is a bunch of bullshit, rightly so, that, the official story was, Lee Harvey Oswald did it by himself. He worked alone, blah, blah, blah. We all know the deal. So obviously a bunch of people were like, no, this doesn't make any sense. So the CIA in follow-up came up and used the term conspiracy theory as a dismissal of all the alternate theories regarding how and who assassinated President John F. Kennedy. So anyway, conspiracy theory, or the label of conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory, is broadly used against conservatives by the media, and is rarely, if ever, used by the media against liberals. I'm going to give you a couple examples of how I can say that. I'll start with the Russian interference in our election. Everybody believed it. That was the standard explanation, right? So come to find out, it wasn't true. The conspiracy theorists, the ones that the media labeled as conspiracy theorists, were going, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. So they were labeled as conspiracy theorists. Well, come to find out that it was false. Unless you consider, $400,000 in Facebook stuff as Russian interference, considering Bloomberg spent how many hundreds of millions and didn't win the election? Anyway, or didn't even win the nomination on top, let alone the election. Anyway, another one was Trump colluded with Russia. Russia, right? It was accepted as a fact, and it's still to this day accepted as a fact that Trump was a Russian stooge. Well, that was completely debunked, completely proven wrong. But yet the media labeled, everybody saying that they were full of shit as conspiracy theorists to dismiss them, to try to protect their narrative. How many liberals that believe the media and believe that Trump was a Russian stooge are labeled as conspiracy theorists when they were in fact believing in a conspiracy? Anywho, you could also go into the whole impeachment thing. It's accepted as a fact that the grounds and charges against Trump that changed, by the way. People were saying that it was a bunch of BS. Well, you're a conspiracy theorist. He's going to be removed from office. He's going to be impeached. Well, okay, he was officially impeached by the House, but it got dismissed in the Senate. But the facts and theories of the facts of the case were proven to be false. So if you were one of those pro-impeachment people, you were believing in a conspiracy theory, which makes you a conspiracy theorist. But you never hear that word used against you by the media. Just because somebody's theory is in opposition to the standard explanation of whatever given issue is, doesn't automatically mean they're wrong in the whole. They could be partly right as well as being partly wrong at the same time. A lot of conspiracy theories are based on the correlation fallacy, but just to offhandedly dismiss them because they, seem kooky or the theory seems so far-fetched is an intellectual fallacy. It's intellectually lazy. They could be partly right in their theory if you do a little bit of research or dig into what they're saying. They could also be partly false, but that can be at the same time. It's not an and or. It's not it's not Boolean logic when it comes to some conspiracy theories. You have to apply analysis. You have to go through the thought process of looking at what they're saying to see if what they're saying is true or not. If you just offhandedly dismiss them, you're being intellectually lazy. And another thing, our government has given us plenty of reasons to not believe the standard explanation. Okay, JFK would be one, and I'm just going to leave that one alone. Most recent example is the COVID shutdowns. We were told that the reason for the social distancing and the shutting down and all the other stuff that's obviously come along with it was to flatten the curve to protect our medical facilities. Okay. Well, now that we're beyond the peak, the curve's been flattened, and now states and governments are not wanting to reopen their states. They've changed the narrative. When conspiracy theories, people started challenging the original explanation of shutting everything down. No, you're a conspiracy theorist. This isn't about control. This is about protecting our medical facilities. Well, we're beyond that point now, and we still have states that are shut down. Some of them, like Hawaii, I just read today, pushed their shutdown stuff out to May 31st. But we're the Looney Tunes. We're the crazy people, right? You can look at the Iran-Contra scandal that happened back in the 80s under Reagan with Colonel North. What was the standard explanation? Well, that was proven to be a lie. The it was investigated and found out, all the whole drug running and all that stuff, right? But yet the people that were supposed to believe the standard explanation from our government. You can look at all the stuff that went on with Justice Kavanaugh, with all the accusations of his alleged misconduct and all the other stuff. That was the standard explanation given by the media, right? Well, it comes out that was wrong. But now we have Biden with accusers, with fact, with evidence, with corroborating witnesses, and they're not given the time of day, not 1 minute of coverage in the media. And those of us that are saying, hey, she needs to be heard, are conspiracy theorists, and it's an election ruse to blackmail or give Biden a political black eye, if you will. It's not true. and that's coming from the media. But we're the conspiracy theorists, crazy tinfoil hat wearing people, right? It's amazing how that happens. You can look at Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and all the stuff that's been going on with him. If you look at what the actual documentation is, there's actual literal proof from the governments of Ukraine, etc., that show where he was taking money and, you know, all the other stuff associated with it, but our media won't touch it. Our media is just flat out saying that's been debunked, which it hasn't. There's still ongoing investigations, but yet we are the conspiratorial theorists because, you know, we don't accept the standard definition or the standard explanation. But then you look at the in-depth journalistic investigations being done and that have been done on Trump's sons, as compared to Hunter Biden, when there's actual proof that Hunter Biden did some nefarious shit, and Trump's sons really haven't. They're kind of assholes, but that's about as far as that goes. The whole thing with Trump's son and the whole Russia media meeting has been thoroughly debunked, proven false. The media's dropped that story. But, you know, we're conspiracy theorists if we show court documents from Ukraine or whatever about Hunter Biden. But we're the crazy ones. You can look at the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The call for war to go to Iraq was they had weapons of mass destruction. Okay, there was some yellow cake found that went to Syria, but outside of that, there wasn't there. The weapons of mass destructions were not there. So when people were questioning it about going to war, or you're crazy, you know, our government wouldn't take us to war and waste our soldiers' lives over a made-up thing. Okay, I point you to Vietnam. What was this kickoff of the Vietnam? You know, the Vietnamese warships that fired on the U.S. warship in the Gulf of Tonkin. That was been proven to be a lie. But we're the crazy ones. Yeah, because our governments, you know, are benevolent and all that good stuff. Look at taking us off the gold standard when FDR did that under his presidency. And there was a gold confiscation that happened shortly thereafter. Why? People were raising hell at the time about that, but, you know, they were the crazy ones. You know, there's nothing nefarious about it. Right. How about I did not have sexual relations with that woman? That was the standard explanation given by the media and government at the time, until it was proven that he actually did have sexual relations with that woman and some others. But again, the term conspiracy theorist, conspiracy theories was used as a pejorative against anybody that pushed back against the standard explanation or the narrative that was being pushed at the time. It's what the media does. We're at a point where we cannot believe nor trust our government based on some of these issues I pointed out, but there's more that I could cover in, you know, this 20 minutes or whatever. But they have a history of lies and deceit, and now we've discovered it's obviously more and more evident that the media has been complicit. Well, what do we have left? We can't believe, based on previous issues, based on history, that we cannot trust our government nor the media. So when they push a story to us, if you don't look at it cross-eyed and start really digging into it, well, you're kind of a fool. History proves it. But yet the conspiracy theorists are the crazy ones. We're the ones who are living in mom's basements with tinfoil hats. Typically conservatives, according to, you know, the standard usage of the word. So anyway, the funny part about conspiracy theorists are it's used as pejorative, blah blah blah, and we tend to trust the government or the standard explanation when it matches our own bias and thoughts and conclusions. It's amazing how that happens. Then, you know, when we believe the standard explanation because it fits our own bias, prejudice, thoughts, whatever, everybody else is a conspiracy theorist. But when we don't believe in the narrative that's being pushed by the media, all of a sudden now you're a conspiracy theorist. It's funny how that kind of happens. Another thing that happens with conspiracy theories, or what it causes, is cognitive dissonance with a lot of people. Alternative theories, which is kind of the correct term to use, by the way. Not everything's a conspiracy. It's just an alternative theory. If you look at them and think critically, it causes you to think critically and to challenge your own belief and recognize your own biases. And many people can't do that. Look how hard it is, even for you, the individual you, to accept and admit when you're wrong. Many people cannot do that. Hardly anybody. I mean, they will go through and dig and find articles that back up their stuff falling under the veil of confirmation bias without really realizing what they're doing, just to admit or to prove that they were right, even though they're factually wrong. So alternative theories cause you to challenge your own thoughts, cause you to challenge your own biases. Not to say that conspiracy theories alternative theories are right and you are wrong. I'm not saying that, but it causes you to go through that thought process to understand the possibility that you could be wrong, and we just can't have that. No. And labeling someone as a conspiracy theorist without going through the thought process and analyzing, their theory is the easy way, intellectually lazy way out. It prevents you from having to see that you are actually wrong about an item or an issue. It's intellectually lazy just to offhandedly dismiss somebody as a conspiracy theorist because they have not accepted and accepted the standard explanation coming from the media or government as being truthful. They've proven they can't be trusted, the media as well as our government. But yet, if you challenge it, you're the Looney Tune tinfoil hat living in your mom's basement person, right? I'm sure probably a lot of you that watch my videos are of the same mindset as me, and I'm sure you've had that label more than a few times. So anyway, if without analyzing alternative theories, you're going to fail to be able to identify false correlation fallacies as well. In false correlation narratives is exactly what our government and our media especially does to push and control a narrative. They're going to tell you A plus B plus C equals D when it in fact doesn't. It's three false correlations put together to draw a false conclusion. But it's the conclusion they want pushed. If you go through the thought process of analyzing alternative theories, you should be able to start easily picking out false correlations. I mean, let's be honest, there are a lot of alternative theories that are way out there. And if you look at the theory, you will notice and you will see they're taking a lot of correlations and making a conclusion that shouldn't be made because the correlations don't fall into a causational argument. There's a lot of coincidences, a lot of things that possibly could have happened in some of these alternative theories. But if you don't go through the thought exercise of looking at them and analyzing them critically, you're going to miss them. It's an exercise worth going through. Whether you consider yourself left-leaning or right-leaning, go through the thought exercise of picking apart what you consider to be conspiracy theories. It's challenge and analyze the message, not necessarily messenger, and you'll be amazed what you find sometimes. Anyway, the other thing too with conspiracy theories is if you take the time to go through and research the conspiracy theory, you could possibly also find out how true the actual standard explanation really is. Our government doesn't lie to us all the time. I'm hesitant to say the media doesn't, but they pretty much do. So that's kind of a tough one. But as far as our government goes, they don't always lie to us. They may omit the truth a lot. They may talk in very generalized terms, but if they start having some conspiracy theories come out because of what they said or failed to say, and you start researching that, you might actually find out that the standard explanation is indeed true. There's a lot of discovery to be made if you start analyzing and looking and doing critical thought when it comes to alternative theories. But I'll take this back to my beginning, where the term conspiracy theorist, conspiracy theory, has been used to offhandedly label somebody basically as a freaking lunatic because they don't accept the narrative being pushed at them from the media. Never mind the fact that it kind of makes them critical thinkers, or at least they try to be critical thinkers, be able to analyze what the information and facts are being handed to them and call bullshit when bullshit needs to be called. It's an intellectually lazy exercise. It's not something we should participate in as a populace when just because the media says conspiracy theory this, conspiracy theory that should raise alarm bells with you immediately, based upon the 3 previous episodes of what the media does to control the narrative and control the truth. If they're pushing out a narrative and then anybody that pushes back, the media labels as a conspiracy theorist, you should look closely at that. They use it very frequently. They use adjectives against, or use adjectives in correlation with people that they're dismissing that's a negative or pejorative, conspiracy theory being the biggest one. To offhandedly dismiss them, it automatically paints that person into a negative light, where it's, now you have to prove your innocence versus prove your guilt, that kind of a mentality. If the media says that somebody or a theory is generated from conspiracy theorists, you need to look into that. Just saying. So anyway, I'm working on my next one. The next one's probably going to be a lot longer than this, because I'm going to go into the next part of this series, if you will, is going to go into terms that are considered politically correct. And I'm going to go through the exercise of going through these terms and explaining them and challenging the notion of politically correct as a whole. So anyway, hope you enjoy the rest of your day.